Hi, my name is Emily West, and I'm the Digital Services Librarian here at the Rochester Hills Public Library. Today we are going to be talking about how to access newspapers and magazines through the library that you can access for free with your library card. So we are going to be talking about 3 different services today: the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, and PressReader. I had to narrow it down to those 3 because we have a lot of other newspaper and magazine options through the library, but these are the most popular, and PressReader is also our newest. So most of you are probably already familiar with the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal. You may even have a subscription to it. If you have a subscription to it already, you may or may not want to consider canceling it because you can access it for free through the library. I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about what that process is like, how to sign up through the library, how you can access it both from in here and also at home or through your device such as your cell phone or your iPad or other laptop computer. Alright, the first one we are going to be talking about today is the New York Times. So, the New York Times has both access in the library and at home. I will say it's slightly tricky, so I'm going to show you the tricks of how to access it. The New York Times knows that you are getting it through the library so long as you click on the link to access the New York Times through the library's website. So as for all 3 of these services, the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, and PressReader, I recommend, especially if you're at home, to sign in to the library's website first with your library barcode number and your 4-digit PIN. If you're accessing the New York Times in the library, you don't necessarily have to sign in first, but it is helpful, especially if you want to come back to it at home. If you do it at home, you get what's called a 24-hour access pass. So you will get an access code through which you can sign in or you can sign up. After that 24-hour window, you have to go back to the library's page to get another access pass, but you'll be signing in with the same credentials. And I'm going to show you how that works next. Oh, just so you know, this is only valid for creating a new account. If you already have a New York Times online subscription, you cannot apply your personal subscription to the library's subscription, if that makes sense. So if you want to access it for free, you have to create a new New York Times account. You may want to cancel your personal one if you want to get it for free, but you have to create a new account through the library for the New York Times. And I'm going to show you how to do that next. So when you are on the library's website, there's a bunch of tabs at the top of the screen. This is what it's going to look like on the desktop. It's going to look slightly different on your cell phone or your tablet, but there are going to be multiple tabs across this top. If you click on or tap on the Collections tab and then go to the Digital News and Magazines page, then this is what you are going to see. It's going to be the same process for accessing the Wall Street Journal. That link, when you click on the Digital News and Magazines page, you're going to click on Access the New York Times. Like I was saying earlier, if you're at home, make sure to sign into the library's website first before you click Access the New York Times. That way the library and the New York Times knows that you're a library patron. You're going to access the New York Times with your library account. So after you click on Access the New York Times, you are going to see this screen. So this is what I was saying about the code earlier. This code right here is what the library pays for those codes. So every time you click on access it, we're paying for the patron subscriptions to it. you're going to click on the black redeem button, and you'll see a screen confirming that your access code is valid. Click on continue to create an account. It's going to be the same process of entering your email address and entering a password. As I was saying a bit earlier, if you already have a New York Times account, it's going to stop you from trying to create a new account with the same email address. So you may want to cancel one account first if you only have one email address before you do this. This will save you some trouble later. From here on out, whenever you're at the library, simply head to the NewYorkTimes.com and sign in. If you are at home, be sure to log in through the library website to obtain the access code. You can also download the NYT app for access on the go. So when you download the app, you're going to enter those credentials for your library New York Times account, and then you'll be able to access it on your cell phone or your tablet as well. So the subscription, I'm actually going to show you what happens after you create an account. So this is the screen you are going to see first after you create an account. So I'm just going to give you a quick rundown of what the library provides available to you versus what we plan on getting in the future. So we currently have access to news and audio. So the majority of you are probably going to use it for news article, breaking news, politics, current events, such and such. That is what we have access to. Audio gives you access to live streams. It gives you access to a few podcasts through the New York Times, videos as well. But there are some things that we do not have yet. We are going to add them at a future date. Unfortunately, I don't know when that future date is, but we do plan on adding some of these guys down here at the bottom. So, games, I don't know about you, but I love Wordle, if you've ever played it. You have limited access to the New York Times games. You don't have the big crossword puzzle. You have the mini one as well as a few others. For cooking, that's another thing we want to get access to in the future. That's where you can find some really yummy recipes. Like I said, we already have audio. And then The Athletic, if you're wanting to get updated with sports scores, that's The Athletic. And Wirecutter is for finding professional reviews on various products. So after you see this screen, you're going to click continue. And as you can see, each of these things says limited access. We want to get full access to it in the future. So we're going to click continue. And this is the next screen that you are going to see. So because you're signing in with your email address, you are going to get newsletters in your inbox with breaking news, different articles sent. I get them usually at least 2 to 3 times a day. You can customize what kind of emails you want to receive, or you can cancel all emails altogether if that's what you want and you want to go to it on your own terms. So this is the screen that you're going to see for editing those newsletters that you would like to receive through email. And I'm going to click continue. And then, this is just the option for downloading the New York Times app. And then I'm going to click not right now. Explore the Times. And this is the home page. So every time you click on that link through the library or you sign in when you're in the library, this is this home page that you are going to see. My favorite places to go to other than the home page. So the home page has all of the breaking news. So politics, any current events, both here domestically in the US and also global events. And then we're going to go back up. And if these different tabs at the top will take you to the different parts of the site. I don't know about you, but I like going to the games tab. These are some of the favorite ones to play. Like I was saying earlier, you don't have access to the big crossword puzzle, just the small one. Audio, as I was saying, is videos and podcasts, anything with sound. Lifestyle and Opinion are fun to go to if you want to get it, keep up with things to help with your health. If you want to get professional reviews, that's also under Wirecutter, but some of these Arts, Lifestyle, and Opinion will also be talking about those. So you get to see like featured articles on politics, on world events, business, tech, climate. You can browse through this at your leisure to see all of the different tabs. I'm going to be comparing this to the Wall Street Journal a little bit later. Briefly, I'm just going to say that the New York Times is, if you're measuring it on a scale from super high technical language to everyday you and me kind of speech, the Wall Street Journal is more professional and New York Times is slightly more colloquial and something that's more something that you and I everyday kind of news. The Wall Street Journal is most common for people who are like business executives who want to keep up with the stock market and more high-tech professional reviews. So that is the New York Times. I love going on the New York Times. This is a great way for me to keep up with current events, politics, and also just fun stuff as well. So if you're familiar with the, especially since we're at a library, the New York Times bestseller. So that would be under, I think it's under book review. So arts under book review, you get to see the current New York Times bestsellers. That's another one that I'm sure many of you would also be interested in. Recommendations like the 100 best books of the 21st century. That is also one of the most popular sections on the New York Times site. All right, and next we're going to talk about the Wall Street Journal. All right, so like I was saying about the Wall Street Journal, it's a little bit more high-tech. So if you have an interest in checking the stock market, if you have an interest in really technical, like keeping up with the latest gadgets, keeping up with, for example, artificial intelligence, Wall Street Journal is a little bit more techy. It also covers the news and current events and politics. It's just at a slightly higher caliber than the New York Times. The Wall Street Journal, I will say, is significantly easier to access than the New York Times. You don't have to go through the website each time trying to like click on the access link. Once you do it, you don't have to keep doing it. So I'm going to show you what I mean. You will the first time you sign up for the Wall Street Journal, the Wall Street Journal's subscription, but every time, once you do that, you can simply just go to the Wall Street Journal, WSJ.com, sign in, you're all set. So let me show you how to do that. Just as with, so it's almost the same process as we did with the New York Times earlier. You're going to go on the library's website, make sure to sign in first. Could someone close the door back there, please? Yeah. So it's going to be the same process as accessing the New York Times. So after you sign in through the library's website, you click on the Collections tab and go to the Digital News and Magazines link. It'll take you to the same place that you saw the New York Times. So when you click on Access the Wall Street Journal, then that's how you get to it. So this is the screen that you are going to see. It's cut off a little bit just to make some room on the slide, but it's going to ask you all of the basics, such as first and last name, phone number, email address, create a password, and then you get to customize what kind of content you want to see. So if you want to keep up with the stock market, breaking news, politics, you can get this and more daily at your inbox. The Wall Street Journal also, because it's connected to your email address, will send you things just like the New York Times. So like breaking news, stock market updates to your email, and you get to customize exactly what kinds of things you want to see. They also do professional reviews like the New York Times, so if you want to see more in your inbox of professional reviews, you can opt into that on your subscription. So here's a non-existent list of topics that it is. I'm going to show you in a little bit just how much you can see. And like I said, you can tailor what kind of articles you do or you do not want to receive, especially when it comes to your email address every day. So I'm going to go to the Wall Street Journal. All right, so up here at the top, it says WSJ.com. Like I said, you only, since you've already signed up for it through the library, all you have to do is simply go to WSJ.com and sign into the Wall Street Journal with the new username and password that you already created. Just like with the New York Times that I was talking about earlier, I would recommend if you already have a Wall Street Journal subscription, like with the New York Times, you can't double it, so I would recommend canceling one before you opt into the library's free subscription to the Wall Street Journal. Unlike the New York Times, you actually, so far as I know, have full access to the site. So I don't think there shouldn't be any paywalls, for example, or limited access. You have access to the entire thing, which is something that I really like about the Wall Street Journal. It's a little bit more user-friendly, and you can access more than on the New York Times. The breaking news, just like with the New York Times, is set up at the top, and you would be clicking on each of these articles to see what it is. Let me go back up to the top. Similar to the New York Times, you've got all of these tabs up here at the top. So if you want to keep up with politics, for example, if you want to keep up with markets and finance, opinions, which are op-ed, which is like the opinion columns, arts, lifestyle, so more professional reviews, real estate, personal finance, and up here at the very top of the screen is you can keep track of what the stock market looks like. You can see how it's going up and down by the number of points. It's just quick access to see how it's doing throughout the day. Sports, style, health, you have access to the whole thing. All right. I was about to show you how to, like within the Wall Street Journal, you can edit your subscription, as in you can edit what kinds of content you'd like to receive. Also, when you get the Wall Street Journal emails to your inbox, and it shows you the kinds of articles that you opted into seeing, there should be a link toward the bottom of the email where you can edit your subscription so that you can pick and choose what kinds of emails, what kind of news that you want to see through the Wall Street Journal. All right, and that's it for the Wall Street Journal. The last thing we are going to talk about today is PressReader. So PressReader, I like it best for magazines. So the PressReader does have some newspapers, but it's not like you're getting a link to the New York Times, for example, or you're getting access to like the Detroit Free Press online. It's more like a kind of like a PDF almost. It's not the site itself. You're looking at flipping through a simpler version of the Detroit Free Press, for example. PressReader, however, does a lot better with magazines. I find that a lot of the magazines, they have a lot of current issues, but they're good about finding older editions of magazines. So if you, for example, want Taste of Home, or you want to look at People, or The New Yorker, you can find current editions and also ones farther back. This is also good about finding magazines from overseas. So if you want to find some, I found ones from Germany, from Japan, from South Korea, from Brazil. They have a lot of international magazines as well, if that's something you're interested in looking at. PressReader, you can access online on your laptop, Or you can, what I like doing is I like downloading the PressReader to my iPhone or to my iPad for easier reading. So I'm going to show you how to get an account. So let me go to the library's website. Oh, when you go to the library's website, if you go, like I said before, to log in with your library card number and PIN, once you do that, you're going to go to the Collections tab at the top of the screen, and then you're going to tap on the Research Databases page. It's a really big page because it's got dozens and dozens, probably close to 100 of all of our databases, but they're listed in alphabetical order. So if you scroll down to the P section, so N-O-P, it's going to be here under PressReader. If you click on PressReader right here, that's what you need to go to sign up for an account. Oh, and just like with the other two services that we talked about earlier, PressReader knows that you're through the library because you logged in first. That's why it's important to do that. And then you can then create an account from there. So, click on the green sign up button in the top right corner. PressReader knows you're with RHPL. Yes. We're going to create an account with an email address and a password. And once you do that, this is what you're going to see. So this is PressReader, the web edition. So as you can see, there's like USA Today, South China Morning Post, The Economist. One of the PressReader is actually one of our newest additions to the library's research databases page. And one of the big reasons we got it is because it has The Economist, which is very difficult to find an online version of. It's also pretty difficult to get a print version of it as well, for reasons unbeknownst to me, but The Economist is a very popular subscription that we have at the library, so we can easily access it here online at PressReader. If you scroll down, you can see anything that you've read recently. Funnily enough, we also have the news and views. So the news and views is that what you get in the mail every season. It has the library's current events. It's also here in PressReader, which I think is really cool. It's got the newspapers, so as you can see the name of the newspaper, for example, USA Today, US edition, and you can see the date of it. So you can see that we have the most recent edition of the USA Today from today, June 12th. You scroll down a little bit further, you've got some magazines. So I like food magazines, so the Food Network or Taste of Home. Those are my favorites to go to. And the fun thing about those magazines, especially with food magazines, is it doesn't necessarily need to be timely. You could find a recipe from like 10 years ago and it still works. But those are my favorites to do. We also have a few ebooks. Not a lot, but we have a few. So it looks like over here, this is also a pretty recent edition. These are mostly classics, so like Great Expectations, Frankenstein, Narrative of the Life of Frederick Douglass. It's not like, if you're familiar with Libby or Hoopla, they have thousands and thousands and thousands of books available. PressReader selection is quite a bit smaller. Then we also have a few puzzles as well. So like, if you liked the New York Times puzzles, the PressReader has puzzles as well. Fun fact about PressReader, it's a relatively popular subscription for libraries, but it is also a service that they market to hotels and airlines, so that people staying at hotels or people staying at airlines, traveling with airlines, or traveling on the train, for example, can access the PressReader while they're traveling. So that's why it's set up like this. It's for magazines and newspapers. However, as you can probably imagine, with the hotels or the planes or with the trains, it's a limited access, and it's also a temporary access. This library, you've got full access to PressReader all the time, so long as you have a library card with us. And there are different categories. So if you want to read a magazine about dogs and cats and horses, this one right here, as you can probably see, it's in French. So that's what I was saying earlier about international magazines. They have it in multiple languages as well. So if you speak a language other than English, then you can also specifically filter by a language. So if I go to magazine specifically, give it a second to load. Oh, and you click on this drop down, all languages, you can see a list of all of the different languages that are available on PressReader. Now, as you can probably imagine, the majority of them are in English. So if you speak German, for example, German's going to have a more limited selection. So if you're looking for a very specific edition of a German magazine from 5 years ago, your chances of finding it are a little slim, but it is good to know that if you are looking for something from overseas, this is a great place to do it. Sharks, perfect. Going to pick a random magazine to show you, just to show you what the layout looks like. I'm going to click read now. Also, listen. That is a really good one if you have a some kind of visual disability, or you specifically want to be able to listen to articles within a magazine while you're doing something else. You can listen to it go through the different pages of the magazine. It's being read out loud to you. That's really interesting to me because I work in the outreach department, and we have something called the Oakland Talking Book Service, which provides talking book players to patrons in Oakland County with visual or physical disabilities. We actually have we can send people audio versions of magazines, which I never even knew was a thing until pretty recently. So it's something that's available on PressReader as well. You can listen to it. So for PressReader specifically, I haven't really touched the listen part of it. It might depend on the magazine. It might be automated. It sounds like a robot. I know with the Oakland Talking Book Service that I was talking about a minute ago, it's a real person reading it. I'm not sure about PressReader. You might want to check it out, because a lot of the software out there that reads things out loud to you, you're listening to a robot, and they try to tweak it to sound more human-like, but it's still quite robotic, and you're just like, I wish someone was actually reading this. So I'm going to click read now. So text view is also another where you look at, it's a slightly different format. So you can click on the individual articles within the magazine and read the whole thing. So you could read the shark article or the Lolo's River Valleys. And then you can scroll through this way. Also here down at the bottom, they're numbered, so the different parts of the magazine. So if you want to skip ahead to a specific section, you would click on one of these down below. And if you want to add to my publications, I believe that is, I know there's a feature on Libby that allows you to do this, which I'm actually going to talk about in a couple minutes. If you like the BBC Wildlife magazine, for example, you could subscribe to it so that you keep getting editions of it. So, right, we are almost done for the day. I'm going to go over a couple more things before we wrap up. So, speaking of Libby, as I was mentioning at the very beginning of this program, we have a lot of other magazine and newspaper services at the library. I just touched on the most popular ones and also the newest one. Libby and Hoopla, if you already have those two apps, they also have access to magazines, especially Libby. Libby has better access to magazines. Hoopla's is harder to get to, but it also has magazines, just a lot smaller number of them. If you want to look at all of the other services that have newspapers, so if, for example, you want to go to an older edition of the Detroit Free Press, for example. So I'm at the library's website right now. I'm going to go to the Collections tab, Research Databases. The easiest way to do this is if you scroll down and see on the left-hand side of the screen all of these teal buttons. These are the different filters for the research databases, which makes it a lot easier to navigate. So if you click on magazines and newspapers, you see the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, and PressReader. But as you can see, we have all of these other ones that I could spend all day talking about, but I want to keep this program a little bit shorter. This is great to go to if you're looking for a historical newspaper. So I would recommend Newspapers Source Plus, Newspapers.com Library Edition. If you're familiar with using Newspapers.com, it's the same thing. You just have it free access through the library. That's great if you're looking. I know my mom uses it a lot for doing genealogy research. So if you want to look for an obituary for a family member and you remember it was from like January 7th, 1979 through the Detroit Free Press, I'm just giving a random example, you could go to that historical edition of that newspaper. I would recommend doing newspapers.com for that. Also, let me go back. Digital Public Library of America is also good about doing older newspapers. The Detroit News Collection as well. Macomb Daily, these are like specific subscriptions, kind of similar to the New York Times or the Wall Street Journal. Oakland Press we have access to. These are more local. The Wall Street Journal and New York Times is national and international. So that is just the tip of the iceberg for all of the different things that you can access. If you're having trouble finding a specific edition of a newspaper, I've got a couple tips for you. Tip number one is to go to the site itself. So if say you want to get an older edition of the Oakland Press that you can't necessarily find, if you go to the Oakland Press site, or you could type into Google like Oakland Press, like older editions of the newspapers, I would try doing that. However, that doesn't always work. I'm going to do a little bit of a shameless plug for libraries and museums and archives. So a lot of, for example, a library archive that I used to work at was the Romeo Community Archives in Romeo, Michigan. And they had digitized the Romeo Observer from like just after the Civil War right up until 2015, I believe. Libraries or museums are also a good place to go to for older editions. They're either available online, that you can search online, because they've done what's called digitizing, so they scanned the newspapers and put it on the internet. Or you can go in person to view it. There's like, my brain, the word is escaping me, but I think we have the machine upstairs where they have it on reels, they have it on film, and then you can access the film version, and then it's displayed on this machine. That's another Microfiche, thank you, microfiche. Yes, microfiche machines. A lot of museums have microfiche machines. I believe we have one upstairs. That's a great question for Hillary upstairs though. But those are my tips for accessing older editions of newspapers. Does anybody have any questions that I can answer before we finish today? What's that? Correct. So for as long as you have a library card with us, that Wall Street Journal, you don't, unlike the New York Times, you don't have to keep going back to the library's website to access it. With the Wall Street Journal, you just go to WSJ.com and then sign in through the site. Yes, I have tried doing it the other way unless I am doing something wrong, in which case I will edit the video to correct myself. But I have tried to go to nytimes.com and try to sign in, but I was having trouble accessing everything, and I found it was easier if I went to the library's website, clicked on access the New York Times that way. Yes, yes, yep. But there's that 24-hour code, but then you have it, then once you go back, you have it for, I think, 1 week, but I think after that 1 week is up, then you have to do it again. I might have to play with that some more, but that's the best way that I have found. All right, do I have any other questions? What's that? Okay, if I go to, my best bet for that would probably be the newspapers.com library edition. Yes. So if I click on this, you're going to see a screen where you can search for the name of the newspaper and go to a specific date. I will give a little disclaimer. Here we go. It has a lot of newspapers for the different days, but it doesn't have every single edition. It often does for bigger newspapers like the New York Times, for example, but for really local papers, it might be trickier to find, especially if you're looking for a very specific day. And let's do Detroit Free Press. 2000 to 2025, just show the results. Well, that's peculiar. You can see a map of the U.S. And see each of the different states. It has 0 for Michigan, which is really ironic. Maybe the Detroit Free Press was not a good example. Right, but it's, I must have done a search wrong, or I searched for the wrong thing, because the Detroit Free Press is definitely a newspaper. I don't know what is going on. Yeah, but this is a good site to play around with. It's also, wonder if I did this instead. You can also do location, city, state, or country. So if I did Detroit, Michigan, that wasn't helpful either. I don't know why. Okay, well, I'm sorry, that was a really bad example, but, yep. What's that? Yes. Let me go to YouTube. If you, at the top of the screen, type in Rochester Hills, what happened there? Let's try that again. Rochester Hills Public Library. It's this channel right here, the very first channel right here at the top. Once I upload it to YouTube, then I will actually email you guys and send you a link to the video that I uploaded, and then you'll be able to click on this link and watch it later. If you want to view any of the other ones, once you're on the channel page, if you click on playlists and go to digital services programs, then all of my other ones are there as well. So Hoopla, Canopy, Libby, Melcat. E-learning at the library was for doing Gale courses in Learning Express. Every one of my programs is under digital services programs. Do I have any other questions? All right, thank you guys so much for, what's that? Libby is usually for ebooks and audiobooks. Yes. PressReader has probably a slightly larger selection of magazines than Libby does. No, it definitely has a larger selection of magazines than Libby does. if Libby is good for magazines, but if you can't find it on Libby, then I would try doing it on PressReader. All right, but I'm the kind of person that says just download all the apps to your phone. You'll find it eventually. Yes, it does. Yep, it's available on the App Store, so for iPhones or iPads, and also on the Play Store if you have an Android device. All right, good question. I would recommend, let me go back to the library's website. I'm going to go to Research Databases, then PressReader. I'm already signed in, but if you're not signed in, it'll ask you to create an account. I would recommend clicking on the PressReader link through the library's website before you download the app. Once you create an account by clicking on the library's website link, then you can download the app and log in with those same credentials. Correct. There's no cost. All right, you guys are all set. Have a great rest of your day.